So the next issue I want to quickly talk about is that of Anthony Joshua, you know, Nigerian British um, heavyweight boxing champion. He won his match about 10 days prior to when he came to Nigeria, and then he arrived in Lagos, driving to Ogun State, his state, and had this unfortunate accident. It is said that when they took off from Lagos, Anthony Joshua was sitting in the front seat alongside the driver, beside the driver, but that because of his physique, he was blocking the rear view mirror. So the driver said that Anthony Joshua should move to the back. So Anthony Joshua now moved to the seat behind the driver. And one of Anthony Joshua's friends and coach trainer went to the front. That switch is what saved Anthony Joshua, you know, because he said a number of things has been mentioned. There was overspeeding. Clearly, there was overspeeding. It's clear. And from where the vehicle was, very likely he was overtaking. Said one of the tires, I saw they said one of the tire got burst, and then there were talk of the brakes failed, and there was a stationary trailer by the side of the road. The videos I've watched where the trailer was parked, it was not parked along the road. It was parked at the side of the road. If the driver, I think that the driver was reckless in driving, overspeeding, and now ran into a stationary truck. You've seen it. I've seen it a couple of times where some drivers will be driving and they are not really sure if the way forward is clear. So they will just go off the road to overtake, and probably that's what happened in this instance. The driver has been arrested and he has been charged to court. There have been different debates about the issue. Some were trying to blame the bad road condition in Nigeria, but the foreign journalists went to that spot of the road and the road is good. So the condition of the road was okay. And usually what happens with drivers on the highway, when the road is good, they overspeed. When the road is not good, they complain the road is not good. It slows them down, spoils vehicles. But when the road is good, it's smooth, oftentimes they overspeed. So the road was not bad. Then there was the issue of if they could have gotten emergency care, emergency rescue, they sometimes, um, many of our leaders, they've gone out of the country. They've seen how things work in other countries. Like that accident that happened, if it was in UK, you would have had helicopter rescue. The speed of the response will be so fast, and when they respond, as they are responding, the first aid personnel that will get there or the rescue personnel that will get there, they will determine the condition of the accident victims and now decide where to send the patient to. And if he needs an evac with an helicopter, they will call for an helicopter to do an evac. So our rulers, our governors, our presidents, they know how things function overseas. But what happens with us? I learned this word from Gbadebo Rosevival in the 2023 elections. Tokenism. He said what happens is our leaders, they do tokenism. Tokenism is, according to him, is that they just do small. um If let's say you have a budget, you just say do this small thing, do this small thing to give an appearance that they are working. Whereas what they could do is far more than what they are doing. But they do a token here, do a token there, and I say, we are working, we are working. The election time will come, they will put in the money they could have used in developing the place. It's what they will save to now run an election. So they know these things. The rulers, they know these things. They know that there is no effective emergency rescue. It's Lagos State. Lagos State is even trying. But many other states, what kind of emergency rescue do they have? Look at what happened in Asaba. That actor who drowned. They were crossing the River Niger, part of the River Niger. They were crossing it to shoot a film. They first crossed, on their way back, the boats they were in, collided with another boat or something. The boat capsized and he drowned. So when they brought him out of the water, they thought he had died. So they took him to mortuary. The mortuary attendant now saw that he had sign of life. So at that point, what should they have done? They should have taken him to hospital. But no, they took him to a traditional. They said that they have to pray for his spirit or whatever before eventually took him to hospital. When when that boat capsized, that river, are they not supposed to have like a form of emergency rescue? Then when they brought the body, are they not supposed to be people that are responsible, to take the body to the hospital? If let's say they cannot provide first aid or provide first, at least they should have taken the body to hospital. It's in the hospital that a medical personnel will declare the person dead before now sending the person to the mortuary. But what happened? The person was taken straight to the mortuary because the people who rescued him, they are lay people, they are not professionals, they don't know, they just, he's not responding, he has died. And that is in Asaba, the capital of oil-rich Delta State, with the oil resources, with the allocation that Delta State receives. There wasn't any form of emergency rescue. That a boat capsized. What you have are ordinary citizens volunteering to go and rescue, and now trying to see how they can help the person. By taking the person is a traditional. It was so pathetic. It was so bad, you know. So when people talk about all these, there should be emergency rescue. The thing is, one thing you should know is that what is not being done, something that's not being done, when it happens to a big person, then it becomes obvious that, this thing should have been done. If you have road crashes on the road, what usually happens is that you have road safety personnel or police they use their vehicle and take the victims to hospital. That's what usually happens. And these police, these road safety officials, they don't really have proper training on how to take care of. Their role is to make sure that people on the road follow traffic laws and all of that. Their role is not really like emergency response. The emergency response, a team of health personnel who could respond to an emergency. And it's just like you have all these when you have in other countries where EMTs, where you have people that when there is an emergency, they will call the people that they call. Their role is to attend to the emergency. They are not doctors. They receive a training for emergency care, and when they get there, they perform emergency care, then call for further support or take the person to a nearby hospital for further care. You know, so these things are lacking, and these rulers, the governors, they know that these things are lacking because they have gone abroad, they have lived abroad. They know that when they have an emergency abroad, they know what is done. They know what should be done. They don't do it here. They're not going to do that. Are they going to provide you have a dedicated team, just like you have fire service. Their response when there are emergencies, there's a fire, somebody fell into a well, somebody is trapped somewhere, they know you should have EMTs, emergency personnel, who could respond to emergencies. They know that when there is an emergency, there should be there should be people who are trained in how to triage the cases, to know those who are dead, to know those who are critical, to know those who are stable, to know those that you have to give them quick care and take them quickly to where they will get care, and those who can afford to wait. So these things are not there. I think what happened at the point was, I think some states, let me not mention states so that I will not mix them up. Some states, they provide along the highway, they'll station, I think in Kaduna also, they'll put a kind of outposts along the highway, such that when there are the accidents and things like that, you have officials who can quickly respond. So this has happened. We saw how Anthony Joshua was put in a police vehicle and taken to hospital, because that is what usually happens. Either police vehicle of FRSC, road safety vehicle, or Good Samaritan vehicle, you don't usually have emergency personnel coming down to provide any care. It is Nigerians volunteering to help, and they will now flag down a vehicle. Please, let's take this person to the hospital. So these people, they know that these things are not there. And then when this thing happens, in this instance now, we blame the driver for reckless driving, but then you see the reports on CNN and BBC, the report is there CNN, Maduo, Larry Maduo said there was the accident scene was chaotic, and they showed how Anthony Joshua was brought down and put in a police vehicle, no ambulance, taken to hospital, you know. So, but now that this has happened, with the government, of Ogun State and Lagos State, since they share a common route, say let us provide some form of emergency response. You dedicate an ambulance, dedicate personnel 247 when there is such an accident or incident that requires emergency medical attention, emergency rescue. Those people would respond. We talk of evac, airlifts. There are helicopters that are provided for the police, and other security agencies, and probably private helicopters to airlift those who can afford. So there should be some, time is critical when somebody suffers injury. Time is critical. So the quicker the person can get care, the quicker the person can be taken to a point of care, would make a lot of difference. Cool. So could they sit down and look at this? We just hope for the best. But what happens in Nigeria is tokenism, according to Gbadebo Rose Vival. Breadcrumbs. Somebody person is on the table feasting. Then you now have Nigerians like beggars around that table. Then he will now sprinkle some of the foods. So the people will now rush and take it and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. You now even be grateful for the crumbs without knowing that that's not what's supposed to happen. What's supposed to happen is that you bring the food down and people will feast together and share in it. But no, they will keep a lot of money for themselves, their children and grandchildren. They would buy properties abroad, and when they are sick, they want to be airlifted abroad, forgetting. I'm talking about politicians. I'm not talking about Anthony Joshua. And Joshua is a private citizen, and he has sponsored some things and all that in Nigeria. It's not the role of Anthony Joshua to fix these things. It's not. Yes, what has happened to him, unfortunately, so sad. It could bring awareness to the issue and something could be done, but it's not his role. The leaders, the rulers, they are supposed to do something about it. But then they always rely on flying abroad. Say somebody collapses and is flown abroad. They forget that sometimes if the person collapses, short, between the time you take the person to the hospital, the person may not make it. The few minutes you waste between when the person collapsed and when the person is taken to the hospital for proper care, the person may not make it. So sometimes things can happen, you will not even be able to make it to the airport. Not to talk of getting on a plane. And when somebody has certain very ill condition, very unstable condition, there are special medical, there are special planes where you can use to transport the very ill. So the person that is critical has to be a little bit stable to be able to fly. So those who are relying on just flying abroad, remember that some things could just happen where you need immediate care. And if you don't do well, You don't try to revitalize the critical healthcare structures in your states, in your locality, and all that. When you need the care, you may not get it. No one knows tomorrow. The things that happen that leads to death can be an equalizer. Whether you are rich or poor, some things can happen that the money you have will not make any difference. So hope that everyone will learn from what has happened in this instance and see how they can do better than just throwing crumbs and tokens.